Mhm.
he had this face of, I've got to tell you something. And truthfully, I mean, it took forever to come out. It was not, I'm transgender. That's not what it was at all. It was, I am hurting really bad. And then it led to, have you heard of gender dysphoria? And I'm like, no. And then more questions and him trying to answer certain things. I was like, I don't understand what's happening. And truthfully, I thought he was going to come out gay. I really did, from what was
Mhm.
being said. And then from there, he was like, I don't know if you know of transgender, but that's how I feel. I feel that I am transgender. And so I had zero clue at all what transgender meant.
Welcome to the Kindness Is podcast, where we take a deep dive into the true meaning of kindness. I'm your host, Caitlin Johnstone, the co-founder of Kind Cotton. Let's dive in.
Wake up.
I say it time and time again, but the number one thing that we can do for someone is love them fully and authentically. My guest today has a beautiful story, a story of transition, of opening your eyes to a redefining of love, and I can't wait for you to hear it. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Kindness Is pod. I am so excited because I have another Caitlin here today. Typically, I would read someone's bio, but when I asked Caitlin for her bio, she gave me this beautiful story. So to kickstart our episode today, I'm going to read to you what she wrote to me. In 2017, I found the love of my life, and in 2020, we celebrated our marriage. In 2021, we found out that I was pregnant, as well as my spouse bravely came out as transgender. Embracing this journey of love, adaptation, and self-discovery, I have discovered a supportive community through my TikTok account, Trans Wife Life, where I connect with others on similar paths, offering me comfort and a sense of belonging. Caitlin, I'm so happy you're here today.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm very blessed to be able to be on Kindness Is.
Thank you. So, funny story. Caitlin reached out to me, probably about a month ago now.
Mhm.
She had just started her platform, and I don't think she was quite expecting it to blow up the way in which it has. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, for sure. So November 1st, I was just sitting with a friend and telling her that the current business I have isn't serving me. I may have found joy in it, but I was getting burnt out. And she asked, what brings you joy? And I said, I don't know, but let's process it together. And honestly, she just asked questions and wrote down words that I said. And one of the words was being inclusive. That's been my whole life. I actually was like best friends with autistic kids and Down syndrome in high school, and I just really love making everybody feel included. And so after that, she's like, okay, well, how do you feel about talking about your story on TikTok? And I was like,
Mm.
there's no way that people really want to hear the story. And she's like, I promise they do. And so I I winged it. I mean, I don't even know how I came up with the name. I just typed up something, uploaded a video, and had zero clue that this is where it would lead me. I would say it went viral very quickly, to the point where now, 2 months in, I can't even read comments because they are horrible, I will say. But it's just nonstop. Every minute there's something. But yeah, that's kind of, I just wanted to share my journey of going through this transition. And then also, I don't want people to feel alone that's in it, whether they're transitioning like my spouse is, or whether that's someone's as a supporter like I am going through this. I felt so alone until I started this. I realized there's many others going through this exact same thing. So that's why I started Trans Wife Life.
And that is the beauty of social media. Like, I know you spoke to the ugliness of it, and that's something that I've talked about for years now, because it can be very anxiety inducing and scary and depressing and all of these things, right? However, you have this beautiful opportunity to connect with other humans and to be grounded in that humanity and that connection. And there's something really beautiful about that. I mean, think about the fact that we didn't know each other whatsoever. And I was like, oh, can I just give you a quick call? Caitlin had DM'd me, and I was like, wow. I looked at her page for 1 second and was like, yeah, this is someone who I want to be in community with. And that's something that we couldn't do pre-social media.
Yeah, that's so true.
So it's kind of looking at the beauty of it is the thing that I do to continue to keep myself grounded
Mhm.
in social media being a tool that can create some change and help you develop some relationships too.
It's so true.
Yeah, for sure. I also love that your friend did that with you. Like that is a good friend that you have right there to sit
She
down
really
and
is.
really pull that out in you is amazing. Because I can imagine, like you said, you felt very isolated in the beginning of Ryan transitioning. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, as I'd mentioned in a previous podcast that I was in, is I actually feel like I've caused that isolation. And what I mean by that is I am known to put stories into my head, whatever that is in life. And I've really realized it going through this. And that story that I put through my head is no matter who they are, whether it's a stranger, a friend, a family member, the minute they find out about Ryan's transition, they want nothing to do with us. So I stayed home. I did talk to people if it was social media or over the phone, but I love I'm an extrovert. I love to be out and about and hanging out with friends, and that all ended very quickly. And then I realized, okay, this is not good on my mental health. And I
Mhm.
slowly opened up about this, and people are like, what? I never thought that about you guys. I may have my own transition that I'm going through with this whole transition. But I still love and care for you guys just the same. And I'm like, really? And so it's building up that trust and getting that story out of my head that nobody wants anything to do with us. So that was a huge part. And we're almost 3 years in. And so I would say at least 2 years of that, I isolated myself for the most part.
Oh, I get that so much. I mean, not on the same exact level. However, I had like a really, really awful time when the pandemic hit. And I am very extroverted as well. And my husband was always the one who was more introverted, enjoyed his time alone. And I was like, no, I need to be around people. He would go on work trips and I would pack up my suitcase pre having a child and go to my aunt's house and like have dinner with her and wine and we'd listen to music. And it wasn't for fear of being alone. I just wanted to be around people. Fast forward to the world shutting down and like being a new mom. I was like, nope, I'm not seeing anyone. I am not
Exactly.
going out. No one is coming in this house. I feel like no one understands what's going on in my mind. And then, similar to you, I also put it into my mind that people were thinking a certain sort of way
Mhm.
about the way in which I was choosing to protect my family. And it has taken a long time to get over that. So I would
Yeah.
imagine, similar to myself, you may have a good therapist. Can you tell us a little bit about that? If you
Mhm.
do, I'm making a big assumption there,
Yeah.
but
Yep. Yep. One thing I do want to say really quick is I really relate to what you just said. And it may be due to the pandemic, but truly becoming a mom changes your world. As much as
Mhm,
people want to say it shouldn't change it that much, it really does. And I feel like becoming the
mhm,
mom and other friends that don't have kids, they don't understand. And truthfully, I also am a type of person that I have to really put my guard up and watch what certain people say because it will make me spiral. And so I did do the same thing as you. That's another reason why I isolated is like, I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't want people coming into my house asking certain questions and making my own choice on this huge life transition. So I just wanted to say that really quick. But
thank
as
you.
yeah, as for therapy, I would not be sitting here today where I'm at in this marriage if it weren't for therapy. I've actually been in therapy since I was, I think, 16 years old. I've been strictly going this whole entire time. And then thank God I had a therapist right when Ryan came out because that day. I needed to talk to her, obviously. So, yeah, I would say I even had to change therapists because they nicely said, hey, you know what? I don't specialize in the transgender community. I want you to have someone that really has education behind their background for this. And so that has been a life-changing thing. So, yeah, my current therapist just has really helped me through this process as the spouse and giving me tools to navigate certain things that come up.
How did you feel that first day?
Ooh, the first day that Ryan came out, actually, that was at night. So it was the next day that I talked to my therapist. But that night, like I said, it was late. So I just got home. It was a normal day, got my nails done. Uh, and Ryan looked at me, and I am going to say he, because it was past for transition. And
Mhm.
he had this face of, I've got to tell you something. And truthfully, I mean, it took forever to come out. It was not, I'm transgender. That's not what it was at all. It was, I, I'm hurting really bad. And then it led to, have you heard of gender dysphoria? And I'm like, no. And then more questions and him trying to answer certain things. I was like, I don't understand what's happening. And truthfully, I thought he was going to come out gay. I really did from what was
Mm.
being said. And then from there, he was like, I don't know if you know of transgender, but that's how I feel. I feel that I am transgender. And so I had zero clue at all what transgender meant. I'd heard of cross
Wow.
dressing, but I did not know anything about transgender. And
Wow.
yeah, so
I didn't know that.
even, yeah, I had zero. I didn't know one single person that was transgender. I knew nothing. And quite frankly, uh, I always share this, even though it's very hard to hear. I didn't understand anybody that was part of the LGBTQ community. I thought being gay was a choice. I thought it was either a phase, and that's why I understand when people are new to this too, and they feel that way because I was there. And it took going through this to be like, oh, it is not a phase. You are
Mm-mm.
literally born this way. And
Mhm.
so it was a huge eye opening because I've been on the other side and now I'm here and I'm like, oh, you are who you are.
Mm.
And I wish this whole world could understand that, but I get it takes being open-minded. And do I ever think I would have been this open-minded? No, not at all. But it took this.
Thank you for sharing that piece
Mhm.
because I didn't know that part of your story either. And it gives me a little bit of hope because oftentimes, and I shared this with Caitlin before we even hopped on, that my definition of kindness is being open to change. That part of my definition is not only being grounded in action and rooted in justice and equity, but that openness to change piece is so important. And I think more times than not, our ego gets in the way, and the things that we've known or the way that we've been raised really obviously plays a major piece as to who we are.
Mhm.
And if things don't personally affect us, then we're not open to change. So I know in this case obviously something personally affected you, but I also want to commend you for having that openness because a lot of people do not, and that is what the LGBTQ plus community needs is people who love and support them and are willing to love them for exactly who they are, not I love you with conditions to it.
Yep. And we are experiencing that right now by very close loved ones. They say they accept us, but I think it's with conditions.
Mm, yeah, so you
Yeah.
don't feel, I would imagine that Ryan is not feeling fully loved for who she is.
Oh, no. And truthfully, that is why she's not fully out. And when I say that, she's not always presenting because of this world and certain people in our life that are hard to set boundaries around.
That's really hard.
Mhm.
I know that I'm just one person, but I also know that everyone who will be listening to this are a lot of other people who want you and Ryan both to know that you are loved and seen and valued for who you are, because you probably
Thank
don't
you.
hear that enough.
We don't. And I'll be honest, where we do hear it, and it's sad that it has to be from here, is TikTok. Oh, not necessarily TikTok, social media. That's where we hear it most.
Yeah, and that again, we go back to that. There's a lot of ugly, but I will tell you that over the years I have learned to block and delete faster than my little fingers can even, move, because it's a part of protecting our peace. And there are certain comments and certain things that are said that are never going to change. Like there's never going to be that openness. And it's better to just like, all right, I need to protect my peace here and move on. But then there's these beautiful moments of people telling you that you are worthy for who you are. And that's something that you need to hear too. I'm wondering now,
Mhm.
where are you? I mean, you shared with us that in the beginning it was really hard and it was isolating, and you had all of these preconceived notions of the LGBT community and perhaps almost like an ignorance to the LGBTQ plus community. Where are you now? And where do you see yourself going in the future? Where do you see you and Ryan going in the future?
I do want to start off by saying this, and I feel very wrong to say this, but I am all about the real raw stuff. So here we go. Um, I have been processing a lot with my therapist, and a huge thing that came up that hurts to even say out loud, but is so good for me to be aware of, is I've been judging people's appearance. Now, I'm talking if and this has to do with how far I've come. So I would even like if someone chose to have purple hair, I'd be like, oh, that's freaking weird. Like, what are they doing?
Mm,
Or, just certain outfits, it's not what I would wear. And I would just not say anything to anybody. That's not what I would do. I would just like kind of not feel safe. And so we're processing that right now. And why I bring this up is because there's a lot of transgender individuals who do dress very different. Maybe it's just their beginning stages because they're exploring. Maybe it's who they are. And I want everybody to be who they are. And I would say since going through this, I have really shifted that. Have your green hair, have your whatever, rainbow nails. I don't care. Be who you want to be, because this world is very short and it is not worth living in somebody else's eyes. It's worth living in yours. And I would say that's the number one thing that really has shifted in me. Other than that, I would say having to look at love in a different way. And this one I really struggle with explaining because I feel like you have to go through what I'm going through to truly understand it. Our love looks so different now, not in a bad way. Yes, there's very hard moments, very hard days I feel like I can't do it. But it's almost making me step back and be like, is it truly about what Ryan was wearing? Ryan would wear the Levi jeans, the cowboy boots, the baseball hat, and oh my gosh, I was just head over heels. Is it truly about that, or is it about the heart, the reason why I love Ryan? And so I don't have an answer for that. I do know that that's something I have to process over the years, and I feel like this is something that I don't even know if I'll have an answer anytime soon for. So, but other than that, where do I see ourselves? I can't predict the future, but I will say I definitely see and can visualize our future just being so beautiful as a family. Once we can get over we both have trauma in our lives from our childhood that are coming out right now. And so we're very hurt in different ways. And obviously, me going through this transition, I have my own grief. So there's that. Ryan has her own grief with people, how they're treating her right now. So there's that too. So once we can get over this hump and truly just be our own authentic selves in this world and be around those people that truly are supportive, not just with conditions, I can see us being very happy. And honestly, we're working on a huge goal right now, and that is 2024 is the year of us being our own bosses. So we're working on it, and I just think we have this awesome future together.
I think that's amazing. And I am here for that because as someone who works with their partner, I can tell you firsthand it can happen. Can you tell everyone a little bit about that and how they can currently support you and Ryan?
Yeah. Well, it started off with my trans wife life TikTok. And from there, I honestly sat down with Ryan and I said, hey, remember that sticker business I wanted to start a long time ago that I had every doubt in my mind that I could do. And so I didn't do it. I said, why don't we do that? And so we were going to only do stickers. And then I forgot what came up, but I feel like I saw a video and I was like, okay, that kind of looks easy. I'm going to do apparel too. So we started Diverse Decal, and we now sell stickers and shirts, and now it's expanding even more. And then we're actually launching, hopefully next month, our very first podcast, which we do have a name picked out, but we're just not sharing just yet. But once that is decided on and live, we will be sharing that on our TikTok, Trans Wife Life.
I love that. I think that is so needed. Like you said, I'm sure you have connected with so many people who have been going through similar things and who need a space where they can turn to, regardless of what the reason may be, whether it be family members who may not be supporting them or ugly attacks on social media or in real life. They will have a space and a beautiful representation of how this can be and
Mhm.
how people can live together and support one another going through a transition and knowing that they're not alone. I'm so excited for you all to start that. I think that'll be amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. And truly, why we're starting it is because of our followers saying, we really need this to be a podcast. I'm like, okay, because I'll tell you now, I have people I call daily and text daily that I've connected just on social media that I have no idea, some of them, what they even look like, but it's the connection. It's either someone transitioning. Actually, Ryan has helped many people go through their transition, whether they're honestly still in the closet. They haven't even came out to their partner. And that's a lot to take on, but we know how it feels. Well, Ryan does for that. And I know how it feels to be that support person. So it's been really good.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know you mentioned that most of your support is online, but have you found community where you are?
No, we have
Mm,
not. It's very hard. Without giving away specifically where we live, I will say we live
mhm.
in a small town. Um, not supportive at all of this. And so, yes, does it make us want to move? hmm Uh, and definitely not somewhere where we would build a community. And that is what's really, really hard because it's nice to have in person community, not just over social media. So that's something that we talk about daily. And one day we'll have to make that move.
Yeah, and coming from someone who was in Florida and knew that it was not going to be the place for me or the place where I wanted to raise our child, and literally bought a house via a Zoom call with our realtor, it can happen,
I believe
is
it.
what I want to leave you with. Yeah, because that in person community is really important too.
Mhm.
Caitlin, I am so grateful that you have been here. And before we go, I ask every single guest who comes on, can you share with me what you feel as though kindness is?
Of course. I've always said that kindness is allowing people to be themselves and being open minded. Don't put your own judgment out there, whatever that is that they're going through. Let them be them and love and support as much as you can, even if that's something that you necessarily wouldn't be going through. So, love on each other, uh, the compassion and the support, and truly just being there for each other no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. That's amazing. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you for having me on.
So I shared this in the episode with Caitlin, but I think it's an important thing to reiterate here is that she provided me with immense hope. It made me realize that people can change, that people can know better and do better and continue to open their hearts and their minds to other people's humanity. Because that's all we all really need. We need people to see us. We need people to value our experiences. We need people to validate who we are. And I just want you all to remember that going into this week. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Kindness Is podcast. If you love it and it's adding even a little bit of value to your life, we would love, love, love if you could subscribe, rate, and review so we can reach even more people and make this world a little bit more kind.